GM Farcaster. It is Wednesday, June 26th, and you are here with Nounish Prof and Adrienne for 29 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day. Good morning, Adrienne. How are we doing today?
Good morning.
How's your streak? How's your streak holding?
When did we launch streaks? 3 days ago. So
so you're still good?
Yeah, I mean, it's like that first 3 minutes of a race, killing it.
I'm
checking right now. My 3-day streak in GM Farcaster is still alive.
Good. Okay, it's still alive. Good to know.
Crushing it.
We're gonna do a little bit of our regular show, and then we're gonna be bringing Toady Hawk up, and we're gonna talk about CastOut. So Toady, I see you in the green room. Just hang out for a minute, and we're gonna bring you up towards the end here. So we have a few things happening. The big thing is that, well, this, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But we have some slowdowns with hubs. So investigating an issue where hubs are crashing and processing messages slowly. And this has been happening over the past couple days. So I don't think they've fully resolved the problem yet, but if you see anything weird that's happening, that is why, and they're on it. Also, next protocol meeting, this is from B, will be on Tuesday, July 2nd. We're moving it forward 2 days to avoid the 4th of July weekend when a lot of folks will be out. And we'll be making some schedule adjustments ourselves, but we'll talk about that Friday.
Does that mean we can take a vacation next week too?
We can take a vacation next week. Woo!
Farcaster Friday's canceled.
Yes, it definitely is canceled.
Friday next week.
No Farcaster Friday next week. Nobody launch anything big. And also, if the markets could just shh and also be positive, that would be great. We'd all love that. So yeah. And then this was funny. Before we jump into streaks, which is going to be most of what we talk about, this was funny. Walk Maximalism. We had a couple people posting yesterday about how amazing walks are for their thought process. So we had Fred Wilson. Hi, casters. I took a walk with a founder friend of mine yesterday afternoon and was reminded how awesome walking meetings are. I feel like my mental state is vastly improved in a walking meeting versus a meeting sitting down. And then from Jacob, I've come to appreciate how good post-meal walks are. 15-minute walk after lunch stops me feeling sluggish in the afternoon, great after dinner, but harder to do with routine sometimes. And then we had this from Since the Walker meme, life is good, the walker. And so Proxy wasn't feeling it. So he casted earlier in the day, I love you all, but if one more person posts about how taking a nice stroll is good for boosting their productivity, I'm shuttering Proxy Studio because I think Farcaster might be a lost cause. And then Dan posted that. So signing off, good luck.
It's interesting. Proxy was here for the feet. The toes. Good toes don't bother, but God forbid we talk about walking.
Don't talk about walking on those toes. And he's out. He's out on the walking on the toes.
I mean, why space your toes? Funny. You're not going to use your feet.
I know, but also I just thought it was funny. I'm like, so I said, hey, not all of us are walking anywhere. Don't worry. Most of us are just sitting in front of our computer. So please stay.
Talking. Please don't. We sit and we write about walking.
We sit and talk and we talk about walking, but we don't actually do it. A few other things. Introducing Rainbow ETH rewards. We are airdropping our hard-earned ETH to the most active Rainbow users every single week. This is just phase 1. There are more phases to come, but for now, let's talk Rainbow ETH rewards, and it goes into the details of it. And great. I love the designs and the little characters that Jan created, and they're pretty cute. So this is very interesting. So you're a big Rainbow user. Well, Rainbow's your wallet choice. Let's be clear. She's not exactly a degen, but but so what did you think of this?
I'm a weekly active wallet. I'm a weekly active wallet user.
True. So what number were you? Do you have a rank?
So I don't check. I don't do the board. I don't do the points, the rewards. Like,
you didn't even check to see what your rewards are?
No.
Again, this is one of these moments where I have to say this. It's worth money to you now. You can go claim it. It's probably sitting there. I guarantee you're in the top 10,000. You must be.
So it's also based on not just, I don't know. I think it's a lot. Actually, I haven't checked this one. They were doing points for a while, and I did a lot of the points, I think, is based on kind of swaps and stuff, not just minting.
It's based on activities.
Not just minting off Farcaster with warps, which seems to be 99% of my wallet activity these days.
But I think you're probably, because I don't use Rainbow very often, and I was like number 13,000. So I would guess you have to be in the top 1,000.
Right, maybe I'll check. Maybe I'll check live and find out. So here's what I want from a wallet. I don't want your points. I just want a wallet that works. That when I connect from a dApp, it connects. That would be good and easy to use and safe. I want safety and ease of use, and you can keep your points, Mike Rainbow.
Okay. All right, Mike Rainbow. Some people want the points. They definitely, when he started points, he has reported a couple times that the usage went way up. So it does work for some people. And this actually will get into our streaks discussion as well, along those same lines. Moving on really quick, a couple more things, and then we're going to talk about streaks. And I think I'll bring Toady up for that discussion. So excited to get Lunchbreak Launch. This is from Boardutch. Get hyped for the official launch in an hour or so. In the meantime, you can buy bonding chairs early before people know about Lunchbreak. So this is interesting. It's another approach to the sort of you're buying the feed of people you know, or people that you're seeing on Farcaster. But it's my understanding with Lunchbreak is it's going to be a little broader, and it's going to be integrated everywhere. So we'll see how that plays out. Scoop is another one that is launching officially today. And I think that that's going to be very similar. And a lot of people are picking up their Scoop cards earlier last week. So we'll see how both of these play out. It's interesting to see everyone's different approaches to it. And so good luck, Boardutch.
Great chair in that graphic. And I'm curious. So we have a global audience, and who had that chair in their lunchroom in school? That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Is that a worldwide phenomenon? Is that the universal chair from
when you were in school, when you were a kid? I think so. That is the chair, Miriam. The chair.
I can still feel what that feels like. Like I can still remember what it feels like to sit in that chair. Love those chairs.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I think everybody, I think it's pretty universal, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. If had it, he said. Okay, Jason Goldberg, Beta Shop. I've been reading a lot of takes on Solana actions today. This one is highly recommended. My biggest take, though, is that I bet we see Coinbase Wallet and MetaMask embrace some sort of frames even quicker now. Probably good news for open frames as well, DF. So DF had posted earlier in the day that basically Solana launched frames. And they're calling them blanks. But it is a way to create a Solana action within any place on the web. So we'll see how this all plays out, but it is it's interesting to see other people doing essentially frames, but in different ways. So we shall see. Yesterday I was on Love on Leverage. I wasn't on Love on Leverage, but I was watching Love on Leverage. Let me rephrase that. And really fun. But Brian mentioned this, and I think this is really interesting. Join Polymarket and I for the presidential debate this Thursday. Bets are down for will Trump say crack during the debate. Spoiler, this won't be like other debate shows. This is 8 p.m. Eastern this Thursday. And I'm like, okay, this might actually get me to watch the debate because I was not planning to. Or this. Also, similarly, is the Stand with Crypto watch party. So Stand with Crypto is doing a crypto votes watch party as well. And this actually popped up in my feed due to Snickerdoodle. So that is really interesting. So does that, what do you think about that? Like, is that something you're interested in, like a crypto watch party of a debate? Do you want to bet on it? Do you want to bet? Like, you're not a degen, so like to me, the betting part of it, I think is hilarious.
I love Unlonely. Like, look at Unlonely doing its part to increase democracy in our country and getting people to lean into their civic duty to.
Who knew that Brian was going to be the one to save us? Who knew? And
ladies, check out Brian's profile while you're at it.
There you go. Totally. All right, so we got to talk about streaks. And by the way, from Dan, totally fine if you don't want to start a streak. Just cast about it every day. I'm going to bring up Toady for this part because he knows a little something about streaks. So welcome, Toady Hawk. How are you?
Cheers.
GM. And you're here because we're going to chat about CastOut in just a little bit, but we are going to talk about streaks before that. And some people may not be familiar with your personal, not your personal streak, but the Noun Square streak. How long has the Noun Square been doing a daily show at this point?
So yesterday was 738 episodes in a row, but who's counting?
And that, by the way, that show moves around the clock. So
yes.
It
follows the Nouns DAO auction, which has like an uncertain cadence. It's technically 24 hours, but at the end of the auction, if there's action at the end of the auction, each bid extends it by 5 minutes. And then we also have this app that someone built early on in Nouns that allows us to basically choose the next noun of the day, more or less. We have like an oracle that can see which noun will be randomly generated at any given Ethereum block. And so we gather together and watch them go by like nerds and try to snipe good-looking nouns. That's part of what the show is built around. But because of that, the show can drift anywhere from 5 minutes to 2 hours on a given day. And so we've been all the way around the clock. I think Symbiotech on our team said it's been 5 times now that we've gone all the way around the clock. So yeah, that's the crazy thing we do.
Yeah. So for people complaining about streaks and not being able to go like 3 days, come on now. 700 and how many? That's a lot.
738. And I only know that because we played like jet noises yesterday on the show because it was 737.
There you go. There we go. That's hilarious. So a lot of people have feelings about streaks, I have to say. It's been very interesting. So we've got also PSA. We're investigating and fixing a bug related to streak counts. By end of day today, we will make sure everyone's count is accurate. If cast, the count will update instantly. We had a periodic job running versus instant, but we'll make that faster today. So I forgot to pull Goose's message, his post, but Goose lost his streak. And if you do not know who Goose is DWR's brother. So this is pretty funny. And then TLDR posted this meme. Goose, I cast it every single day. DWR, but how do you find day? So, there it is. My streak ended, but I posted in Goose every day. I will not start a new streak. I want my streak restored. And then we got this. So Dan's on it. It just took, yeah. And I went to post underneath Goose's thing. I think you know a guy, and somebody had already done it. Somebody had already done the joke, and I was a little upset. Also, I thought it was interesting. There's a lot of people talking about whether they like streaks or don't like streaks. So this is from Jamie. A fun thing about streaks is that this is exactly how I became active on Farcaster. AdVM encouraged me to give Farcaster another chance. I set the goal to cast daily for 30 days, found good people, and combos retained. And then we have the opposite. This is from Brian Morris. Having casted in its specific channel since setting up a streak days ago, now there's a goal and I'm not interested. Just me? And no, not just you. This is from Sam. I turned off streaks on WC. I already have other streaks like Duolingo. I don't want another obligation. I perceive my activity on Warpcast to be neutral. I spend a lot of time here and any more would be unhealthy. There is no intrinsic motivation for me to start it. I acknowledge it can be fun for other people, but not for me. And there's
no intrinsic motivation yet.
And this from Beta Shop. Thank you, Toady, for the transition, for the segue. What if channels could reward their members based on the quality of their streaks soon? So a little a little teaser from the Airstack team, and also this from Matcha. What if Matcha Streaks won you Matcha merch?
Yeah, it's just another lever, right?
Yeah. So what thoughts? Adrienne, thoughts on streaks? So you actually, your daughter, you mentioned, started a streak. So
I love the streaks.
You love the streaks. Okay.
Yeah,
you are, I think, you know what else though? You're a completionist.
I am a completionist, recovering. I'm a recovering completionist. Thank you, Farcaster, for destroying me. I like the streaks because, one, I just like anything that interjects excitement and divisiveness into the feed, and it's just funny to see people with their opinions. Like,
it's good for the show, right, Adrienne?
It's good for the show.
Yeah,
we're just here for the content. Anything for the content.
We need fodder. So, it's not. There's no such thing as anything that's going to be the be all end all for anyone. So I like the streaks as like a way to create habits. If you can get it working for you, you know, there's the cynical platforms trying to manipulate you, and by platform I mean DWR. So it is Dan Romero trying to manipulate you to come to Warpcast and post interesting content. And does that put him in control? Boo! I don't like that. I like it if you can put yourself in control. If it's something you want to do, if you're trying to develop, who knows? Casting a lot does. If you are trying to increase followers, if you're trying to get more engaged, like, casting regularly does help. So if it's a little nudge, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
So I do
One
think
thing I haven't seen anyone do, stuff
yeah,
that I think would be really funny is just someone could post GIFs of fans streaking in the Euros channel every day.
Every day.
There's always
every day.
Streakers that go on the field.
The soccer streakers every day.
Streak of streaking.
Streak of streakers.
Streak of streaking. So I do, it's really interesting. I think everyone has like very strong opinions on this. You have some people who are just like completely anti-streak. Some of it for what you're saying, Adrienne, in that like they don't like that. It's the rebel in them, right? You told me to do it and you set this up, so now I'm not going to do it. If I did it on my own, I'd do it, kind of thing. There's that mental model, and then there's just the lack of motivation.
God bless the rebels.
Someone's gonna build an app now that has like anti-streaks, like it
anti-streaks. Yeah, you get rewarded if you don't.
I haven't posted a reply, guys, for 30 days, and you get a chip every 30 days.
Good for you. It's Streaks Anonymous. But for me, I'm not motivated by streaks at all. So, which is why I set my streak up in GM Farcaster, because I knew I'd hit it. Right. I didn't make it challenging for myself. If I was trying to change a habit, if I was trying to build a habit, if I was trying to change a behavior, then maybe if I had an internal motivation to do that, like I wanted to build a certain channel or wanted to contribute to a certain channel, then I could see it, that internal motivation driving me. But right now I don't have that internal motivation. So I was a little bit on the rebel side, but I just, let it go. So I did start a streak. What were we going to say, Adrienne?
Two things. And I'm trying to, so my middle daughter, who's a high school sophomore, I got her, I've been trying to onboard all new people onto Farcaster recently. So I got her on, and she's really into cooking. So I was just like, just post pictures and food, just cast what you're making. And she did it a few times and then kind of bails. And so I showed her the streak, and she's like, oh, okay. So it works for some people. So I told her, why don't you do a week streak? So she's doing that. I'm happy to see. The only other thing I was going to say about streaks was I think it's funny, and maybe someone can make a meme about this because I'm too lazy, but the number of times people have begged Dan for a token, and it's like, give us a token, give us a token, give us a token. And all he needs to do is give streaks. It's like, no, here's a little badge. Here's a little fake reward you can get on your profile, and that'll convince people.
I heard the streaks going to be important for the upcoming airdrop.
Toady. Toady.
We have to go talk to our lawyers and update our disclaimer now.
NFA. There is no token. There's no token coming until Gary Gensler leaves the SEC. Even then.
And there's still probably not a token.
It's still probably not a token, but definitely not until then. That was interesting. That was the same conversation with Rainbow too. I saw that post a couple times where people like basically pushing back on the free ETH and saying, can you just take that ETH and put it towards an LP of a token? And I thought that was really interesting. And for me, I'd be like, no, I'd rather have the ETH. So, but people like the casino.
I thought that was an interesting cast, though, as though ETH for the LP was the one thing keeping them from launching a token.
Yeah, that was it. that was it.
Only they could find
it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't the fact that, again, it's another U.S. company that doesn't want to take the risk. In the chat,
there's some alpha in the chat.
Ooh, wait a minute. I hadn't seen that yet, but I was going to wait. Before I do that, I was about to read a couple things. So for Ivy, I'm not anti-streak. I just don't see how it benefits me at all. So that was links. Sorry. And then I lost Chicago's thing, but she said I don't make my step goal every day. So how am I going to make my streak goal? And then streaks are asking questions to get on trending in app feature form. That was from Ivy. So I think that's true. I think, that is the point of it, right? To try and get more DAU. But I also think, like some people, that's what motivates them, and they'll do it for the intrinsic motivation. What was the alpha? I think I missed it.
Oh, Chicago working on a project with An and Giuseppe, launching something to encourage cooking and sharing with rewards provided by Moshi.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Cool. All right, that's interesting. We'll need to talk about that because we have another show coming soon. So let's, I'll tell you about that in a sec. So one more thing on streaks before we shift to CastOut real quick. And that is, this was from Fred Wilson, wrote a whole post on streaks, and go give that a read if you want to dive into what he's thinking there. So
Fred Wilson claims to have published on his AVC website daily for 16 years,
Wow.
which is incredible because I do 2 a month, and it's not easy.
a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's what just there's something about kind of streaks and small actions and developing habits, which I'm leaning into, and I think it's really cool. But I respect everyone. No one's forced to streak.
And I've done that. No one's forced. All streak is consensual. All streaking. I did that too when I was trying to start a writing habit of doing, every day, but I lasted about a month, and then I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But it definitely can be a benefit if you're trying to create a habit, for sure. All right, moving on. Lastly, CastOut. We had our final challenge, and we are now down to 2. Toady Hawk with an immunity win in the Super Dunk Challenge, and Adrienne in a Minesweeper tiebreak, just inching out Cameron. Both Grace and Cameron join the jury, and will help decide which of these finalists will take home 100K DGen. And each of you will be dropping a video plea, and we have some questions for you. So I'm going to ask you those questions now. Some of these are from the jury, some are from my brain. You should be more scared of those. But
can I give 2 caveats really quickly?
Sure.
I have my son, my son is home sick from daycare. He's sleeping right now, but if I have to disappear, if he wakes up, I may have to go off camera for a minute.
No problem.
So I just want to let you know that. But hopefully,
let you guys know, don't trust anything Toady says. I don't believe there's a sick child.
There's no child.
A sick child, a sick son. I think he's playing for the.
Have we seen this child? I don't know.
This is a sympathy vote.
Okay, because I have him in DMs talking about how he was at the park yesterday playing with it. Okay,
maybe that's where he got sick.
Show the DMs. Show the DMs.
Show the receipts. All right, so I'm going to start with
what you see.
I'm going to start with this. How do you think you outplayed, and outcast the other players overall? How would you categorize that? And that'll be probably more for your own video, but how would you say, like, in a nutshell? And I'll start with Toady, and then I'll ask Adrienne.
Okay, so I never really watched Survivor much, actually. I watched like maybe one season, but one thing I was obsessed with was Big Brother. I watched probably 8 seasons of Big Brother. I was pretty obsessed with that. And one of the most successful strategies on Big Brother was sort of a nested alliance strategy that a lot of winning players did. And that basically meant you would have several alliances of increasing size and decreasing loyalty. And so that's kind of what I tried to do in this game. For those that didn't see my post yesterday, Adrienne and I had a final 2 packed from day 0, basically, to try to make it to the end. So props. I don't know if that's the right direction, but props to for getting through. And Marion just noticed my display name. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. It'll be back in 1 second. Pedro. Now it's back. For Pedro.
So yeah, we had that alliance, and also I think it's pretty impressive that like nobody really figured out our alliance the whole time, which is kind of crazy because you could see in the bracket game when I won immunity coming into the final elimination, Cameron's shares went super high because everyone assumed because Cameron helped me in the last challenge that we were aligned, and we kind of were. He was part of one of my other alliances, but he wasn't my final 2, and so Adrienne and I kind of slipped under the radar, which I think is pretty good. So I had the final 2 with Adrienne. I had a 3-person alliance with Cameron and YB. We called it the On-Chain Creators Alliance. And then we also had sort of the Mole Tribe Alliance as well. So from a gameplay perspective, I think just the fact that Mole was the sort of winning tribe in the sense of outlasting Wow, and also 2 out of the 3 for my second alliance made it to the final 4, and my final 2 made it. And Adrienne's sitting right here. I think that says that we did something right from a social game perspective. And then the only other thing I would mention is that like the challenges were pretty grueling and difficult. Thank you for torturing us, Prof. And I won.
You guys made it a lot harder than it needed to be sometimes. I'll just say that. I didn't expect. I didn't expect the dedication to the game that you guys.
Prof is like, this is going to take like 1 to 2 hours per week max, and then she proceeds to put in like 3 24-hour challenges in the mix. But just to say that I basically tried to be a challenge beast and won immunity whenever I could and whenever I needed to, and I'm pretty sure I would have gone out a few weeks ago if I hadn't won like 3 straight immunity challenges.
I think so too. I think you would have. That's my take on that. I think you were on edge a couple times where if you didn't win immunity, you probably would have been the one voted out.
Yeah, so, Adrienne too, for that matter. But yeah.
Yeah, same. All right, Adrienne, how did you outplay and outcast?
Wow. Okay, so I'm famously have never watched Survivor.
This is hilarious, by the way, that both of you have never watched Survivor.
But I did what I do when I do anything, which is ask for help. So immediately went out and kind of pled for anyone who would offer help, and people delivered. So one, I leaned into the bracket. So I kind of found out who had bought shares of Adrienne, created a group hodlers chat. There was some funny drama in that chat also, people thinking there were some spies. I trusted. That chat was super fun. And Lynx was awesome from the beginning, kind of coming in and just giving me all the strategy play. So mostly what I got was the game is about alliances and don't trust anyone and kind of having multiple layers of alliances.
So Toady and Lynx just called that the onion alliance.
Yes,
I think
it's
that was
a
Lynx.
layered,
or maybe it was 2 of 3. It was one of them. Layered, yeah. The onion alliance.
Lynx was sending me, he's like, here, just watch this 45-minute recap video about all the strategies of Survivor. And I was like, okay, but but I remember like I was like doing something, I don't know, is that with, I was like, okay, as I was like folding laundry, I was like, quick. And but I'm not super into the psychology games, and I love like the team games. So for me, the beginning of the games were just like super fun. And Mole, I was the first 2 challenges, yoinking was insane. I wasn't really expecting. We stayed up like all night yoinking.
I didn't expect you to
like
do
literally.
That.
And this is my dedication. I like slept in the guest room so I could like set the alarm and throughout the night. But it created this really good bond within Mole, and that really lasted. Yeah. So Toady pings me from like day 1 and is like, hey, want an alliance? I had Lynx in my ear, like, don't trust anyone. But Toady throughout the game, I was like, is he doing? How many people is he? And like from the beginning, he's like final 2 alliance. Like this is.
And you're like, how many people is he saying that to?
He said, there's going to be other alliances, but like the Toady Adrienne one is going to be the one that is like the strongest. So I don't really trust him in the beginning, but throughout the game, he was very, very trustworthy in terms of consistency, in terms of actions until the very end. Boom. Okay. Anyway, that's another story.
You had me pretty, I was surprised. I didn't realize that you two had a final 2 alliance because I thought you had an alliance with Cameron also.
And she had all the inside info.
Yeah.
So
she had no inside info.
None. The options aren't good.
Not you, I'm saying Prof.
Oh yeah, but I had all the inside. Yeah, I could see all the chats, and I didn't know that you two had a final 2 alliance. I really thought Toady and Cameron did, and I wasn't sure, but I knew you had a Mole alliance, but I really didn't realize that. So that was surprising to me.
But it was super fun.
Go ahead.
It was super fun. Not what I expected.
So this question from Ivy: what is your biggest regret in the game? This is always a good survivor jury question.
Who is it to?
Adrienne, why don't you start this time? Sorry, Adrienne, go ahead, and then Toady.
Okay, so my biggest regret, besides believing Prof when she said it wouldn't be a big time commitment.
Sorry about that. Really believed it when I said it. That's all I can say.
Is probably just not reaching out. I wish I had reached out to different players for like one-on-one chats, not to be like, let's make an alliance, but just to develop, like just to chat with people. Like I was too much of the play, like let's play the challenges, and the team is like we're on a Mole team, so there. But I could have been. I think the one-on-one chats in the background and kind of creating some just relationships and talking to people would have been helpful.
How about you, Toady? Biggest regret?
I actually got a no regrets tattoo, so no. My only regret is not buying Adrienne's shares so I could get into her group chat and get the alpha. That was
that would have been smart.
I have a player in my group chat too. I wasn't. Yeah.
Wow. So you left it open to anybody who was. All right.
Dillstack was in there.
But in all seriousness, my only regret in the game is that I did put myself into a bit of a pickle, I guess, in the very last vote challenge, which Adrienne alluded to a minute ago. Yeah. So what had happened was Cameron offered to, Cameron tried to play the game and he wasn't able to, like his latency was so bad he couldn't get less than like 4 seconds. So he's like, I'm just gonna tap out. He's like, but if you don't vote for me, then I'll amplify you and get people to play. And he didn't ask me like explicitly, like if you take me to final 2, he's just like, if you don't vote for me. So I was like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I said, sure. So he amplified and it did help. There was a few people from his network that I ended up playing for my side. There was one guy I want to give a shout out to, Beauberge. He played a lot and like won 5 matches for me, and that was awesome. So there was that. But I started to realize as I started going through the votes, because I'm kind of not great with math. I started going through the votes later. I'm like, shit, what have I done? Because now I realize, if I win immunity, I actually have to vote now for either Adrienne or Cameron. So I'm going to have to backstab Cameron after just, taking his help. So I didn't like that very much. And then Prof announced that we could potentially not vote for anybody or abstain for one of our votes. So I did wrestle with it for a while. I even screen recorded myself doing the vote in case anyone wanted to see it later, because it was a difficult decision, because I realized that most likely if I did not vote against Cameron, that it was going to end up being a tie. So we had done a little bit of talking, Adrienne and I, and we thought the tiebreaker was going to be whoever was second in the game. So you might have noticed me frantically playing in the last hour of the game because Adrienne was busy in a meeting to make sure she won a second game so she would be second in that competition. So that's what I thought going into it, is that you're just going to say the tiebreaker goes to the second person in the game.
That's why you were asking. So I was getting questions like, what's the tiebreaker? And I'm like, you'll find out when you find out. Like,
we need to know.
Like and then I said it's a game.
Yeah. So ultimately, though, that's my biggest regret. Is I did hold to my word with Cameron. I'm happy about that, but it did put both Cameron and Adrienne into a kind of a shitty situation where they had to play Minesweeper for their ability to stay in the game after weeks of playing really good games. So that didn't feel great, but I am glad that Adrienne made it through. So, sorry, Adrienne.
So
like I said, mortal enemies until tomorrow, or for another 27 hours, then we can be besties. But
what one other question related to that is, you had some alliances eventually, and this happens in every Survivor game, you have to turn on your alliances. You have to. At some point, you have to vote somebody out. You have to, if you have a, this nested alliance, the Onion Alliance, thank you, Lynx. Eventually, one of those you have to turn on. So at what point did you have to turn on somebody, and do you have any regrets about it?
Well, obviously, when I turned.
I know. I'm just giving you the opportunity to discuss it.
Who first, Adrienne?
Adrienne can go first.
Yeah, the turning point was voting Ted out, of course. So, Ted, wherever you are, regret it till the day I die. And
because you're going to hear about it till the day you die. She's not going to let it go.
So look, this is anyone who will tell you at some point, this is why I try to play games of abundance and positive sum. There's really only one person can win. So even with the alliances, at some point, things have to break down. What the Girl Alliance didn't see was how strong Mole was. So there was a little bit of and Prof, maybe you saw this, but we were like really into these games, like the group chats were. So there was a girl chat. It just wasn't quite as active, I think. But it's awful turning against Ted. And I think the only solace maybe she can have is she's the biggest threat. And what I had told people, I had several people reaching out to me in my DMs offering sympathy because they were feeling, sympathy for me, the backstabber, if you will, because she seemed so upset and they were worried I'd have to face the wrath of Ted. And I just said, Ted is such a fierce competitor. She's an athlete. Yeah. She wears everything on her. Like what you see is what you get. So I just said, I think we will be able to, I think we will be able to reconcile, but you got to let her feel the loss.
Feelings.
She doesn't like,
Yeah, she's a total, very strong competitor. How about for you, Toady?
Professional athlete, like college. I mean, she's intense, and it's.
I think this kind of turned into two combined questions, I guess, because Adrienne talked a little bit about the turning point for the game, and I do agree that challenge was the turning point, the halvening, basically, where we kind of realized that whoever won the halvening, whichever tribe won the halvening, was going to basically be the tribe that could control the rest of the game, because one tribe would vote 3 out and one would vote 4 out. And that's basically how it played out, is once Mole won that challenge, we could kind of pick off WoW as we wanted because we had the numbers, so long as we stuck together. So that was basically the turning point for the game. I agree. As far as like turning on alliances, which is what Prof had mentioned a minute ago, obviously we did make the decision to break our Mole alliance one week early, essentially to get Kristen out of the game. And I think in terms of like my gameplay, that was the one time that I did like blatantly backstab. But again, like these were nested alliances, like I said, with like decreasing loyalty as the number of members went up. And as Adrienne said, eventually you do kind of have to vote against people. So it's just a matter of when. And, if we do know now that Kristen was allied with Cameron and also Riley, which I didn't know. So kudos to that. I had no idea that they had
I didn't know that either.
They were also allied across the floor, as it were. I think that was the only cross tribe alliance aside from the girls alliance. But anyway, so it behooved us to do something first before it happened to us. And while I do think that like Cameron and Christian were probably a little bit more loyal to the Mole alliance, and we're going to wait to the final 4, if they had acted early the week before, and if they had the immunity idol to do it, they would have probably taken me or Adrienne out, to make sure that they could make it to the final two, I think. So it was kind of just like a question of who strikes first. And it was also, hopefully Kristen knows at this point, it was a huge compliment. We were like legitimately afraid of her spreadsheets. She had spreadsheets and lists, and like, she would just
played hard.
I'm sure she didn't mean
really
for this
hard.
to be the case, but she would just post these like diatribes in the chat of like all the things she was analyzing. And probably this is what I'm thinking. I'm sure like Adrienne and others were probably, I think Cameron mentioned it too. We were thinking, oh shit, like this, she's going to win because she's thinking about this way more than we are. And so I think that made her a bit of a threat. So she said, I think when the day that she was blindsided, she said, at least I didn't go out for being lame. I went out for being a competitor. And that's 100% the case. Like we definitely thought that she had a better chance of winning if we didn't get her out. And we also knew, like Adrienne and I knew, that we had the numbers on the Mole side. So if we didn't have to get out another wow that day, then it was kind of a wasted eviction, if you think about it that way, if we didn't get out another challenger.
Yep. So. And I think that Kristen was the sleeper. And I said it very early on. I said, I think you guys are all sleeping on Kristen, when she was like not, just looking at bracket. And I was like, she's going to be a bigger competitor than you think. But she even surprised me, shocked me. Like, I really thought she was a sleeper, but I had no idea what level. Like, she brought it, and she absolutely would have gone really hard in that last game. I guarantee it. So, yep. I think that was the absolute right move. It was a risk, because if Grace won immunity, this would have been a very different ending, because I think that because of who she has in that sort of underdog story, and because of who was on the jury, it would have been interesting, to say the least. So,
I think that final immunity challenge was maybe, and this is like feedback for future seasons, I think it might have been a little bit too powerful in hindsight.
Yeah.
Winning immunity, to my chagrin, I realized winning immunity actually meant that you essentially decided who was going out.
That's honestly how Survivor works, though, too.
But it works like that at final two, though. So I think maybe
it works at the end. Yeah, at the very end. Yeah, it does. So this was our last challenge. Yeah. And that's honestly what usually happens, is that you get down to 4. The person who wins immunity picks one person to go with them to the final 3, and then the other 2 battle it out. Okay. So that you end up with the final 3, but it's still that similar situation where there's like a battle to see what happens.
A minesweeper battle, I think, is typically how they do it on Survivor, right?
Yes, exactly.
But they use real mines.
No, they actually make fire with like sticks and stuff. So yeah, I couldn't really do that. But honestly, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, how can I make them make fire? And this was pretty close. I needed something quick that could be a tiebreaker that would work. So that was when I saw Minesweeper. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That might work. So my vote will involve adherence to to hose before bros, by the way. So, and I've seen, this is from Ivy. My vote will involve adherence to hose before bros. I think, Adrienne, the Girls Alliance is really upset. So just letting you know, you've been targeted, but it's going to be interesting.
Technically, I did choose a woman.
You chose a hoe before a bro.
I didn't say that. You said that.
I said it. All right. Well, the
best part, honestly, I don't care what the very best. My highlight of the game was a comment in the Girl Alliance when someone asked if we think there's a boy alliance.
And what was the comment?
And it was just like, hey, do you guys think the boys are? And I'm like, no effing way. Like, trust me.
That is really funny, because like two of the first to be voted off were guys. And I remember thinking after the second one went off, I was like, we probably should have had some sort of a guys alliance as well, just loosely held even, but we didn't even talk. So
no, they didn't really talk. I thought it was really interesting, because if you watch Survivor, there's always there are always moments where the women are starting to try and create this women's alliance, and it never goes off. Eventually somebody breaks, because you just have to in the game. So it's pretty common, but it was interesting I thought, that would have been the way that it could have shifted. Although you said, you know, because of the halving, we had one tribe that had more than the other. But I knew that there was a girls' alliance in play. So I was like, that may not matter. You know, it could have shifted the other way. It just didn't. So I wasn't sure if Mole was going to hold or not. But it was interesting to watch all those dynamics happening out. But it was also interesting to all the things I didn't see or I didn't catch until later on. So Kristen and Cameron, I didn't catch that.
You should give credit to the Girls Alliance though, because basically Cameron and I were the last two guys left within like a couple weeks. So we definitely our gender got picked off pretty quickly.
It was just pretty amazing in this space, that's for sure. Yeah, that's something you don't see a lot. So it's it was interesting to see all the dynamics play out. Okay, so next up, you both will be posting a cast with a little video just saying, hey, here's our plea to the jury in the CastOut channel, and the jury will be able to add some questions there. So look for those questions coming today. You can post that anytime between noon and 3, and then the jury will have until tomorrow morning to add any questions. Votes will go out around, I'm going to send the voting out around 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, or actually maybe even sooner. Give them enough time to do their vote. The jury's going to be voting for the player to win. And the jury consists at this moment of Ted, Heavyweight, Grace, Cameron, and Kristen. So all people you voted out. That's the way Survivor works. And then the rest of the players all collectively have one vote. So they will vote together, whoever they vote for, that'll be a 6th vote. And if there is a tie, that vote will count as the tiebreaker. So that's how this one's working. So good luck to you both. And we'll find out tomorrow who is the winner. So, and thank you both for playing so hard. And also to the other players, everyone who put way more effort in than I anticipated, above and beyond. And I really appreciate that, because it really is going to help me improve this and see where we can take it in the future. And I'm going to be grabbing all the feedback from all of you and, going through each challenge and figuring out what works and what didn't and making improvements. So we iterate. So thank you both. And any last comments?
Kudos to you for designing the game
designing craziness.
Yeah, I was just thinking of I was trying to make the list of all the different Farcaster all the different Farcaster integrations and frames and things that you pulled in, and it's impressive.
Yeah,
I have a list.
Existed, so
yeah, and that was kind of the point, was to highlight all the sorry, Toady, Team Adrienne for the win.
How can I pull comments? Can I?
You cannot. You can't. Nope. Sorry, you have no ability to do that. That's so funny. I put this one up for you. That was for you.
No.
So
thanks.
I think it was really fun, and I think we'll be able to do it again. And that was the point, was to show off all the different aspects of Farcaster. And the list is even longer than you may even realize, because there's things behind the scenes that I used that maybe weren't apparent. So I do have that running list, and I'm going to be posting something on Paragraph, and that's what I'm writing for the writing hackathon, and it will be done by Friday. So you'll get the whole list of everything that was used. But that was part of this, was to showcase Farcaster in a different, fun way. And hopefully we can do that a little bit more.
I'm sorry, live results. In this live stream, the bracket has flipped.
Shut up.
I just want you to know. Toady is now favored according to the bracket. So I must have said something wrong.
That bracket flips back and forth every day, though. I don't know.
It does.
And they didn't even know that we were allied.
What did I do wrong? What did I say?
It was probably Ivy's comment.
Ivy, help me.
Might have been Ivy. Oh, that's so
Adrienne,
funny.
that just means that your shares are a potential investment opportunity now. Oh, wait. Now you have to update your disclaimers again. Sorry.
Disclaimer. NFA, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, luckily I have it built into our closing credits now. I do think the bracket part of it has been really fun. It made it, and there's a few other things where we're able to make it interactive and let other people sort of play along and contribute. And I like that. I really like that you created a group chat with your bracket holders. I think
added one of the questions you said you were going to ask us, Prof, was what did your opponent do really well? And that's what I was going to say for that, is that there was a couple of times I was like, damn it, Adrienne was really smart to do that, to corral all of her bracket people into a group chat. I didn't do that. I should have done that. That was a good idea. So props for that.
Yeah, that was my last question. So Adrienne, what was something that Toady did well that you wish you had done, or that you showed? We know.
The list is long, but like, what a freaking gamer. I mean, literally, he's really good at counting to 3 and yoinking and passing a potato. Like,
He's willing. The thing is, here's what it comes down to. He's willing to lose sleep in order to win.
Nouns Esports, call me.
Very, very competitive gamer, but not in a not in an icky way. Not in a just like playing. So the very, very fierce competitive spirit, and look, I get it. We were in an alliance, and he said he was going to be loyal to it, and he was until the last 0.0005 seconds. And
Adrienne, should we tell him?
I shouldn't have had to go to a tiebreaker with Cameron, but that's okay.
Prof, do we have time to tell them about the code?
Yeah, go ahead.
So about two weeks ago, I was thinking, laying awake, thinking about CastOut, as you do. And I was thinking that in the final 2 weeks, things might get a little bit muddy as like all these alliances converge and people start to wonder who's the real final 2 and this and that. So I came up with this idea to take one of my cryptodes. I have 3 cryptodes that are pretty dear to me. They all have, mohawks, which is kind of where the Toady Hawk name came from originally. So I ended up transferring one of them to an alt wallet and getting an alt wallet from Adrienne and sending her one of my toads. Funny enough, it was her birthday. So she was like, thanks for the gift. I was like, well, not a gift actually. But I said, this is basically like an insurance policy. If I don't, if I betray you and we don't, and I cause you not to go to the final 2, then you can keep the toad. So I almost cost myself a toad, I think, yesterday by not, even though I didn't vote against Adrienne, but I did, by not voting for Cameron, I did cause it to go to a tiebreaker. So she might have kept that toad if she had lost the tiebreaker. So
I had no idea you did that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then
wow, that's huge. That's like huge for him to like send you.
And Toady said, I'm doing this. He's like, you don't have to reciprocate. And I told him I was not planning on it. Like,
she doesn't have anything you want. You have all the same. You have all the things she has. Like it's nothing.
I sent my OG. Anyway. So fun things.
That's funny. Anyway, wow, I had no idea you did that. I have a feeling there's a lot of things that I have no idea happened in the background. I do have to figure out a little better of how we get the audience to see more of what happens in the background, and we'll figure that out. Some suggestions were, instead of the group chat, having the group chats are still going to happen, but having most of that happen in channels so that it's a little more
Cameron's
public.
In the group chat. Like, did you say see more?
See more, exactly.
Yeah, Cameron, help us out. We need to see more.
See more. Yeah, we need to see more. But we'll figure that out for the next iteration. And by the way, Lynx, you already have an invitation to play in season 1. So
that'll be good. I hope you
for sure. Yeah, I already extended that to him. But I'm excited to see what he brings.
I feel like Lynx will be like the big brother Dan of CastOut.
Could be. I think you might be Boston Rob and you don't even realize it. So for those, I know, because you never watched Survivor. All right, we do have to end it here. We're running a little over. I don't know if Alex Como is in our chat. I'm sorry, we're running a little behind. I'll be there to see you momentarily.
Welcome to 59 minutes of Farcaster news.
Sorry,
to start your day.
I knew this part might run a little long. He's in the chat. He said it's okay. Thank you.
All right, I have to go and tend to my sick child now.
And we have to get out of here anyway. So thank you all and have an amazing day, everybody. And of course, with that, we say bye-bye. And if I can find my closing credits, here we go.
All right, I have to go.